All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for coming here today. Just before we begin, to whoever decided to make this press conference at high noon on the hottest day of the year, what did I ever do to you? Very exciting, though, for this wonderful announcement. I want to start by thanking both Premier Ford and Minister Surma for inviting me to say a few words and their incredible leadership on what is a transformational project. Look, I remember fondly coming here as a child and the memories that we had that will last me a lifetime with my family. Ontario Place has meant that for many people. And it has a long time it has stood with a special standing in people's hearts, locals, visitors alike from all over the world. Now, for decades, it was an iconic tourist attraction at the very core of our city and a centerpiece of our province's cultural and recreational landscape. Now, I remember that fondly, but of course, it has been boarded up for the better part of 2 decades, and we have robbed an entire generation of creating those lifelong memories. It sat idle, underutilized, and underappreciated, but that is going to change now. Today, we are proud to share the next steps in our bold vision to reinvigorate this iconic site into a world-class, year-round attraction that will once again draw millions of visitors from across the province and around the world. This revitalization is more than a rebuild. It is a reinvestment and a reimagination of Ontario's future. From Niagara to Wasaga Beach to right here on Toronto's Lakeshore, we are building premier tourism destinations all across this province that will welcome people from near and far. Destinations where families will gather, tourists will explore, and communities will connect for generations to come. The tourism industry is the cornerstone of Ontario's economy, contributing $32 billion to our GDP and supporting more than 325,000 jobs and 92,000 businesses all across the province. Now, more than ever, it is our responsibility to protect Ontario by championing local tourism and cultural experiences. Experiences that boost economic growth, create jobs, and enrich and celebrate our vibrant social and cultural landscape. It's an honor to be here. This is not a pocket square. It's to wipe my brow, but it is an exciting day. Thank you so much for bearing with us during this heat, and it is my pleasure now to introduce the Chief of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, Chief Clare.
Thank you, Minister Cho. Ani Buju Magisikwe Indigenous Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, Dunjaba, Magisi Dodom, Mississauga, Ndiao. Good afternoon to you all. I am the Ogamakwe, Chief Clare Salt of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. I'm thrilled to participate in today's announcement. Ontario Place is located on the treaty lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, and we are so pleased to see our voices reflected throughout this redevelopment. Ontario Place has always been a place of connection to the land, to the water, and to each other. The project is about honoring those connections through design that reflects Indigenous teachings, ecological stewardship, and community use. The Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation has been a committed partner for the past 4 years in developing the design of the future public realm. Through meaningful engagement and inclusion of an Indigenous cultural pavilion and an abundance of green space, this project represents an opportunity to honor the past while building a shared future. We look forward to continuing this partnership to ensure that the spirit, stories, and stewardship of the lands are respected and celebrated for generations to come. Indigenous placekeeping projects will be an important part of this new public realm here at Ontario Place, and what I mean by that is the Indigenous Cultural Pavilion, the language wall, the 4 directional structures, the canoe sculpture, and much more. We're just so excited to have our presence and our footprint known right here in our homelands. We look forward to continuing our work with Surma Canada, the province of Ontario, Ontario Place, and to see this project through to completion and keeping the public informed as we move through the various steps of progress. I do want to give a heartfelt thank you to Minister Surma for her partnership to date and for ensuring the treaty holder is reflected in what Ontario Place will become. And I want to welcome Minister Cho with whom I know we will create a destination that reflects our story for millions of visitors from around the world. On behalf of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, I extend a warm welcome and say miigwech for joining us today for this announcement.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. Since our government first announced our plan to rebuild Ontario Place in 2021, we've been working hard to re-establish the site as a world-class waterfront destination. After decades of neglect, this return is long overdue. When Premier Robarts first announced the opening of the park in 1970, he described it as an exciting place, just as Ontario is an exciting and dynamic province brimming with activity and vitality. These were fitting words for years during which Ontario thought big and built big. Under the leadership of Premier Ford, we are returning Ontario Place to the people by redeveloping it as a bigger and better waterfront destination with over 50 acres of public park space, open to everyone, completely free of charge all year long. The public realm design has been a work of art, and I want to thank the Landing team, Infrastructure Ontario, and the Ministry of Infrastructure who put their heart and soul into ensuring the final designs transform this space into a world-class landmark waterfront destination. With 5 distinct zones, the Forum, the Mainland, the Marina, the Water's Edge, and the Brigantine Cove, which will feature an Indigenous cultural pavilion designed in collaboration with First Nations and Indigenous groups. With its position on the Great Lakes, Ontario Place has always been a symbolic gateway between our home and the wider world. Today, at a time of economic uncertainty, attacks on our sovereignty, and need to redefine our place on the world stage, I am proud that our government is protecting Ontario by building on that legacy and restoring an iconic piece of our heritage. In addition to creating thousands of jobs and welcoming up to 6 million visitors a year, this site will be a major landmark and will strengthen pride in our great province. It will once again be worthy of the name Ontario Place. And so I'd like to thank Michael and the team at Landing, Heather and Ross and their team at Infrastructure Ontario, and the folks at the Ministry of Infrastructure, my former deputy Carleen Alexander, and currently Ali Vashkini and Michael Robertson. It's been one of the most memorable moments working with all of you. Thank you so much. It's now my pleasure to invite to the podium the Premier, Doug Ford.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm just so pleased to be here alongside Minister Surma. And I have to tell you, Minister Surma has worked her back off for the last 3 years on this project, and it's coming to fruition very, very soon. Minister Cho and PA Trianthophilopoulos, and of course, Chief Claire Salt. Thank you for coming, Chief. From the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, I also want to thank our partners from Surma Canada, Live Nation, Waterfront Toronto, Infrastructure Ontario, and Landing for being here with us today. Folks, today marks a big step forward in our plan to rebuild Ontario Place into a world-class, year-round, family-friendly destination. For years, this prime piece of Toronto's waterfront, which should have been a destination for visitors from across Ontario, was abandoned, neglected, ignored, and falling into disrepair. But that ends now. Our government has been working hard to transform Ontario Place and make it a place that people from across Ontario, from around the world, including people living right here in Toronto, can visit and enjoy. Today, I'm thrilled to unveil the final designs for the new Ontario Place public space. This space includes 50 acres of free public trails, expanded green space, playgrounds, interactive fountains, new beaches, event spaces, and an updated marina. You can see renderings of these spaces here today, with even more available to view online. This new Ontario Place will be an incredible destination for people living here in the city, looking to enjoy the scenery along the lakeshore, or spend a day at the beach. and it will welcome visitors from across the province and around the world, coming to see some of the great new attractions that will be on offer. It will be a destination for all of Ontario, while something for everyone. That includes a new state-of-the-art Ontario Science Centre, as well as Live Nation's revitalized year-round amphitheatre, and Surma, Canada's family-friendly water park on the West Island, which will also include an additional beach and park space for the public to enjoy. You can just imagine people strolling along the shoreline at sunset, enjoy stunning beaches and wetlands, canoeing, boating, kayaking along our beautiful waters, and taking in concerts, markets, and festivals. This is going to be spectacular, something this country's never seen. We're also making it easier for people to get to Ontario Place by building a new, publicly owned, revenue-generating parking structure, which will be blended into the surrounding area with a landscape berm on the site of a current parking lot. This new parking structure will make it easier for school groups visiting from places like Markham or Mississauga to spend a day at the new Science Centre, and it will make it more convenient for families coming from, let's say, Niagara or London or Durham or anywhere across our province to enjoy a concert or spend the day at the water park. Just imagine that. You can come down here, spend a whole day, you can come to the water park, you can go on the beaches, you can go to the great state-of-the-art, world-class Science Centre, and at nighttime you can wrap up at the concert. It's going to be spectacular. And of course, Ontario Place will be just steps away from the expanded GO train service and the new Ontario Line subway at Exhibition Station, which will make it quick and convenient for visitors from across Toronto, across Ontario, and the Greater Golden Horseshoe. It's all designed to create a world-class, family-friendly waterfront destination that will attract up to 6 million visitors. I'm going to repeat that, 6 million visitors. There'll be nothing comparable in Canada that will have 6 million visitors each and every single year. These investments in Ontario Place will create 5,000 jobs in construction and tourism sectors. I'm going to stop there for a second. This would not happen without the hardworking men and women over there, hardworking men and women that were up there. They're back to work now, and everywhere around the park. But think of that, 5,000 people bringing home a paycheck, and then thousands as we open up. They're going to boost the economic growth across the region. In the face of the tariffs and economic uncertainty, they'll help keep workers on the job and provide fantastic new destination for people to visit, all while supporting Ontario's $33 billion tourism industry. Our government is returning this iconic destination to the people of Ontario. We're building a world-class year-round destination for everyone to enjoy. I want to thank everyone for coming, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you.
We will now take questions from the media. Media present can line up behind me and ask their questions through the microphone. As a friendly reminder, the format is one question and one follow-up. Please state your name and your outlet before your question.
Hi, Premier Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Hi, Siobhan.
You described the parking structure as being blended in. It looks from that rendering to really stick out. Can you explain how people can look at that and think that that's blended into the lakefront environment?
Well, it's going to be beautiful. We're going to have a berm at the front. You'll barely even see a parking lot. We'll have stuff like maybe a fountain. We'll have the big names out there. We're going to have a massive sign that says Ontario Place. You watch, it's going to be probably the #1 place where people will take pictures. They'll take pictures all over the place, but they're going to be standing in front of that massive, beautiful sign, similar to the Toronto sign at City Hall, but larger, more colorful. It's going to be spectacular. Watch how many people line up to take pictures with water coming up. This is going to be state-of-the-art, beautiful.
And still with the parking structure, I think the requirement for the province was 2,500 parking spots, but you now here say 3,500 spots. Can you explain why you've gone that extra mile and added that extra 1,000?
Well, when we figure folks are visiting the Science Center, visiting Surma, a concert is happening that will have thousands of people show up, we need to expand it. But this is a great news, folks. This is a great news. And if I was a private investor, I'd invest in this all day long. And I'm sure we'll have a lineup asking to invest. But we don't want it. We want to keep this jewel. It is a jewel for the people of Ontario. If you think of this, numbers were being thrown out all over the place without any backup, to be very frank. $1 billion here, $1 billion. It's not $1 billion. It's going to be approximately $400 million. And we're going to see revenues at minimum $60 million. So I could go to private equity firms, pension funds, and say, do you want part of this? They'd line up to get part of this because that's a massive return on investment. We'll have it paid off, and then $60 million or more, I predict more, that will be going right into Ontario coffers to pay for healthcare, education, infrastructure. It'll be absolutely phenomenal. And you can get creative. On the top floor, other people have coming up, well, why don't we have a venue up there? Let people lease the top floor, overseeing Ontario Place, having a party, and maybe a band here or there. That's phenomenal. It's going to be out of this world, mark my words. It's going to be really, really exciting. It's all going to be done mostly prefab. So they'll be up, putting it up, and bang, they'll be done.
Hi, Premier. Lorenda Redikoff with CBC News.
Hi, Lorenda.
Hi. I'm not seeing much about the Science Centre. It has been a year since the other Science Centre has been closed. What's the update on that?
Well, the Science Center, we're going to build the state-of-the-art Science Center, second to none anywhere in the country. They're going to have more exhibit space. This is going to have an opportunity for new scientists and kids to come and see modern Science Center with a lot more exhibit space. It'll be in a much better location. It's going to be where 6 million people are coming through. It's going to be out of this world. And I think there's a rendering somewhere behind me. I think one of those buildings. But it's going to be really, really spectacular.
Looks like Minister Surma wanted to say something there.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Yeah, sorry about that.
We're in the market to find the appropriate builder for the Science Centre currently right now today. We anticipate to have results in the fall, and so when we do and the proponent is selected under the recommendation of Infrastructure Ontario, we will certainly share that with the public.
So is there any update then on when a new Science Centre would actually open? Is it further in the future now?
No, we're in the market. We'll have a builder in the fall, and then construction can start shortly thereafter. But we will share that once that decision is made.
And so the opening is planned for 2029 still?
Yeah, we're going to push this forward. It's going to be amazing. People are going to look back and think, wow, thank goodness we did this. This is world class. I'm so pumped up. I spent many summers parked right on the pier there with our family and just having an incredible time. We're going to bring back Ontario Place like it's never seen before. It's going to be amazing. I'm really excited.
Hi, Premier. It's Rob Ferguson, Toronto Star.
Hi, Rob.
Good morning, or good afternoon. Just trying to get a sense of timelines here. So Minister Surma just said 2029 for the Science Centre. What about all the rest of this?
No, the media said 2029.
Okay,
But
give me can you give us all the timelines? Like, is this going to open? Like, it won't open till it's all done, or will it be opening in stages?
Sort of in stages. There will be a lot of work happening at the same time. Surma can start their construction as early as spring of next year. We will be going out to market to find the appropriate builders for the public realm space that you see behind me. And so we should have results by year end, which again means construction on the public realm and the Science Centre could quite possibly begin in the spring and summer of next year. The final component, of course, would be the wonderful Budweiser stage. We have Live Nation representatives here, and they are working on those designs of what the final stage will look like. So that will be the final element and the final piece of Ontario Place redevelopment.
All right, and do you have a sense of when this could all open? Like, is it going to be maybe 2030? Is it going to take longer?
We're going to push it when all the pieces of the puzzle get together, Rob, hopefully 2029. I'm just going to push it like crazy, make sure we move faster, quicker, immediate, and get things moving along because I can't wait for this to open up.
Hi, Premier Richard Southern, 680 News Radio.
Richard.
Hi. How much is the parking garage costing taxpayers?
$400 million. with a return of 60 million, which is 15%, which is an incredible return, which I'd have pension funds and investors lined up from here all the way down to City Hall. It's going to be an incredible spot. And plus, they got to think outside the box. Like I said, someone came up and said, hey, we should have venues on the top part of, on top of the parking structure, and the outside will be spectacular.
Earlier this year, the New York Times reported that Surma misrepresented itself to the government before you signed a 95-year lease with the company. At the time, Premier, you said you would, quote, double and triple check the province's agreement with that company. Have you done so, and are you satisfied with that deal?
I did double check, and I'm very, very satisfied. Yeah, Richard, let me tell you a story. Someone texted me that went from here, and this person is, I'd say, a pretty important person. One of the big pension funds went there, went to Romania, went to Surma, and I wish I could read you his quote. He says, people will look back like this place where he's at right now. He says, it's absolutely stunning. He says, I've never seen anything like it. And this is someone that's traveled around the world. And he said, people will look back and think, thank goodness that you move forward with this. It'll be something that the country's never seen before, or it'll match up against anywhere in the world.
Hi, Premier. Jeff Craig, Globe and Mail. Wanted to ask, I take it talks with the city on putting the parking garage at the X fell apart. Can someone explain, can you explain, or maybe the minister, is this a move to try and keep the project on track and avoid any delays that might be caused by negotiations with the city or the X to put the parking spots up there?
No, I wouldn't say that. I have a phenomenal relationship with the mayor. I was just with her. I talk to her almost every single day. And this is just more convenient, and it's going to add more capacity. Rather than people walking all the way through exhibition, maybe in cold weather, it's going to be convenient. It's going to be convenient for the folks at Live Nation. We sat down literally in the parking lot with Surma and Live Nation and said, this is the way, the way it's going to look. This is where we're going to be. We're going to add more parking, and it's going to benefit the park here, Ontario Place. It's going to benefit Surma. It's going to benefit Live Nation. Live Nation is going to build something spectacular, and they'll have millions of people come through this destination every single year. So I just want to thank the two partners, or many partners actually, not just them.
And just looking at the renderings and the map, is this it? Are there still plans to have concessions, restaurants, bars intermingled in these sites, and will those contracts be subject to a full competitive RFP process?
That's correct. It will be.
A competitive
and
process.
it's going to be pretty nice. You're going to be able to walk through and have a bite to eat, or if you want a cold drink at night, it's going to be really impressive.
Just to clarify, yes to restaurants, yes to a full RFP competitive process of bids.
Want to answer that? Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. The images that you see here reflect the 50 acres of public realm space. What's missing are photos of the marina. There will be food and beverage, a marina clubhouse. We've done engagement on the marina, and so we're looking forward to sharing that information very shortly, but there will absolutely be food and beverage on the site. Families will be coming to Ontario Place, whether it be from London or from the world visiting. We want them to spend the whole day, and what you can't get here is really a bite to eat, and so we want to make sure that that's included in the final concept.
RFP competitive bids is the heart of the question.
Yes.
Will this be handed to one company, or will multiple companies get to compete?
RFP, competitive bid. So put your bid in now. Get in there early, because it's going to be great.
Mark McAllister from City News.
Hi, Mark.
Rest assured, I don't have the money to put in my bid at this point.
You get all pool it together. You guys all make big bucks in the media.
The press gallery will do we'll do our best. If I could follow up on that last question, within the public realm itself, how much food and beverage, restaurants, that sort of thing are we going to see within the public realm?
Well, again, we will certainly include that in the marina. Surma will have food and beverage indoors. Live Nation will also have some food and beverage options, and there will also be food and beverage options included in the Science Centre. So wherever you are or will be at Ontario Place, there will be a place for you to grab a snack with your family. Currently today at Ontario Place, as you see, we are fully under construction. It was recommended by Infrastructure Ontario that on the food and beverage piece, we wait a little while longer until a lot of the construction is complete before we set up the governance structure and look at the food and beverage contract.
We've gone through a bit of a process to this point. You've passed some legislation with regard to being able to bypass some public consultation. We now have Bill 5 in place. Does that play into this and being able to skip a few steps and make sure all this happens?
Well, we didn't skip it at all. We did 2 archaeological studies. We did 2 environmental studies. We've done 40 other studies. Folks, it's time to build. And we're going to build. And we're going to build fast. And we're going to build beautiful. And we're going to build big. It's going to be an incredible destination for everyone around the world and here in Toronto.
Hi, Premier Jack Howard from the Trillium.
Hi, Jack.
First of all, I'd love a source on your claim that we're all making big bucks, because that's news to me. But
you got to get more readership. You got to talk positive about the government, and then all 4 nations will read it, and you will make more money. It's simple. I'll give you counseling after this.
okay, that would be great. I'll give you my number.
Okay. Good.
Given what you said earlier about private equity firms and pension funds, could you explain who or what is financing Surma's project?
Well, that's up to Surma. I don't know where they get their financing, but they seem to be moving forward and have financing. I'm not too sure, to be very frank with you, and it's none of my business as long as they come here. But what I was mentioning is the parking space, just a massive ROI. It's incredible, the ROI on a parking space. And my dad taught me many years ago, folks. He said, son, the best investment you could ever have is a parking lot. Very low maintenance, have 1 staff, and you're just rolling in the cash. Obviously, my dad never bought a parking lot, so we stuck to the sticker business. But I'll never forget that. And you ask anyone who owns a parking lot, it's an incredible investment, especially when you have guaranteed customers, guaranteed payments, 0 accounts payable, well, next to 0 accounts payable, and tons of receivables coming in, all cash.
I wanted to switch lanes for a second and ask you about housing. The CMHC says Ontario needs to more than double its annual housing starts to return to pre-pandemic affordability levels. I'm wondering, given that you remain far off of that, do you have any regrets looking back at the past few years of your government's actions on housing? If you could go back, would you do anything differently?
I wouldn't do anything differently because we've cut so much red tape and regulations to get housing moving. And we set records on housing, by the way. And all of a sudden, we landed a little bit, I say a little bit of a slump. Because when I have the governors here and they fly over, the number one thing they say is, I can't believe how many cranes we have in the sky. We still have more cranes in the sky than 10 of the largest cities combined in the U.S. We have to look at things. I've been in communications with the federal government, Prime Minister. Let's look at the HST. Let's look at, knocking off these DCs. That's what kills you. By the way, folks, you want to give you an example? And I'm working very well with Mayor Chow. She's doing a good job as far as I'm concerned. So before you get shovels in the ground, it's $140,000 just on development charges. So just imagine if we brought an $800,000, let's say, condo, all the way down to $660 or even $600, that becomes affordable. And then if the governments can jump in there and get rid of the HST, the provincial side and the federal side, it starts stirring up the economy. But we have to get, again, the Bank of Canada to lower the interest rates. It's never one fix. It's always a fix here, fix there, and then we stimulate it. There's no reason the Bank of Canada should not be lowering these interest rates. And again, I'm going to be all over them because it doesn't sound like they're listening. A lot of these people working here, they own homes, they might rent them, but there's a lot of folks working on this site that would love to own a home. And we have to make it more affordable. But number one thing is let's get rid of the DCs. Look how quickly the DCs climbed under Mayor Tory and Mayor Chow. When we're in office, it was about 10 to 15,000. They consecutively increased DCs nonstop without any thought at all, 0 thought actually. We need it for infrastructure. We need it for this. We need it for that. It's amazing. When I was there, we didn't need it, and I'll tell you, it ran a lot more efficient. I'll tell you that. But in saying all that, we got to get rid of these DCs. Or at least now they're offering, they won't charge the DC until they hand over the keys and put the keys in the door. But still, it's $140,000 before someone gets a shovel in the ground. It's ridiculous. It's crazy.
Hi, Premier Alison Jones with the Canadian Press.
Hi, Alison.
As Lorenda mentioned, it's been a year since the Science Centre closed, and it's also been a year since an RFP went out looking for a temporary location for a Science Centre. It was supposed to open by January 1st, 2026, but we haven't really seen any movement on that. Can we still expect a temporary location between now and 2029, or are we going to make do with the 2 small pop-ups?
Yeah, well, they had a couple pop-ups. I know they were moving it around the province. Do you have any information on that?
Yep. Thank you for the question. We've had 2 very successful exhibits, one at Sherway, one at Harbourfront Centre. We've had 50,000 visitors. I've heard positive feedback from families. If you haven't gone, please go and enjoy. The Science Centre is looking at what programming will look like. There's not been a decision on a permanent location or to continue the pop-ups. We have an opportunity to make sure that we bring the exhibits across Ontario. There are many municipalities and organizations that have put up their hand and reached out to government saying they would like the exhibits to come to them. So the Science Centre and the hardworking staff there are evaluating that. When that decision is made, we will certainly update, but the 2 exhibits that have been existing for months were very successful and very much enjoyed by the public.
My next question might actually be best directed towards you as well, Minister. In terms of the Don Mills Road building, the former site of the Science Centre, can you tell me what exactly has been happening there? I understand the ministry said that there's been some preventative work done on the roof to maintain the structure. Has it been repaired? What is the state of it, and what are the plans for that building?
Well, I think the plans will truly be up to the City of Toronto and TRCA as they are the owners of that property. However, we moved all of the exhibits out. We were able to preserve them. Construction workers are currently in the building making sure that they are mitigating some of those challenges in terms of functionality for the building. And we are starting discussions with the City of Toronto as to what that would look like. But ultimately, we need to make sure that the building somehow manages to continue to stay intact as we determine what the future will be.
This will be the last reporter.
Hey, good afternoon. Premier Colin DeMello from Global News. The cost of the Scarborough subway extension has gone up from $5.5 billion to just over $10 billion. That does include the construction plus the maintenance and the operational costs. Why aren't Ontarians told about these costs up front before the construction actually starts?
Well, like all these construction sites, these big infrastructure projects, it goes up a little bit. But what the previous numbers, and I think you're very fair with that comment, Colin, it didn't add the cost of the trains in. They didn't add in the maintenance. They didn't add in the extension out by Kennedy Road too. And so the cost is going up. But, we have to build. It goes back to for decades and decades. Everyone talked about a Scarborough subway. No one would do anything. We stepped up and did it. They talked about the downtown relief line all the way back when I was councillor and probably 30 years before I was councillor. Let's do a downtown relief line. We're doing it. We're building the Ontario line, which is great. We're doing that Scarborough subway line. We're doing the Eglinton West. Finally, the crosstown is moving forward now. They're under training. It's been handed over to the TTC, which is fantastic. We're building the Huron-Ontario line, Hazel-McCallion line, building the LRT out in Hamilton. This province has this country has never seen a building like this before. North America hasn't. It's the largest subway expansion in North America, and we're going to continue building nonstop.
Thank you. Just a couple of quick ones about the Ontario place.
Yes.
The file used to reside with the Minister of Tourism, then it went to Infrastructure. Is there a sign that the Minister of Tourism is here, that it is once again changing hands? What's going on?
Well, they're working together collaboratively because it's connected. Infrastructure on the building side, tourism on the other side, and they're going to continue always to work together. But we need both ministries to working hand in hand on this project. It's a massive project, and again, I just want to emphasize Minister Surma worked her back off for 3 years, and just appreciate all the work that you did, Minister, and along with Stan, thank you for helping out and moving forward, and our PA Trianthophilopoulos Effie, incredible member of the team as well.
And Premier, just on the parking garage, do we know how many stories the parking garage is currently? And if there are, I mean, you're talking about private equity, if there's private equity from the unit?
No, I'd say if I was private equity, Colin, they'd be jumping all over this investment. So yes, it's going to be 4 and then the 5th on top without the roof. And it's going to have a beautiful berm, maybe some water fountains, beautiful sign. It's going to be really incredible, actually. and it's a great, great investment for the people of Ontario. And I hope many future governments down the road, someone doesn't come up with some brainstorm idea to sell it because it's such a great investment for infrastructure. They'd love 15% returns over again, over and over with pretty well zero maintenance and zero employees.
That concludes our press conference. Thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone. I can't wait to get the shovels in the ground, keep going, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you so much.